Fallout explores a wide range of conflicting perspectives. As we're nearing the end of Season 2, they're weaving a pretty complex web, and we're all picking whose side we're on in every argument, but whose side is Fallout on? Welcome to Lindsay's Fallout, which has got to be the gaming channel with the least actual gaming on all of YouTube. But that might change when Season 2 is over. Subscribe to find out. While it's always best to assume this channel is going to be a spoiler minefield in general, for this video you're going to want to make sure that you're caught up to Season 2, Episode 7. Now on the screen you will see my comment policy, pause to give that a read, and then let's dig in. I had to kill some serious darlings for this video. There's so much stuff to talk about. If you want to know my take on anything that I didn't mention, feel free to come to my stream on Saturday and ask me about it. For now, here's the stuff that pulled the most content of substance out of my brain. Let's talk about Steph. We get a glimpse of what the occupation of Canada was like from her perspective, and it is illuminating, to say the least. We see a US soldier going, "Halt! Back to the internment camp, hosers!" And y'all know me. You know I don't shy away from comparing this show to the real world, but given the political goings-on in America right now, kinda hard to keep this one vague. In my Are They All Addicts video, I described Steph as a covert narcissist, a manipulator, a toxic top, if you will, and how one of the primary characteristics of such a person is seeing other people not as friends, companions, collaborators, but as threats. Everything she does is justified because it is self-defense. And the dialogue that we get from her companion, it's unclear, she just says "my love," perfectly captures the backbone belief of a lot of narcissistic behavior. She says, "There's a flood coming. Keep your head above water any way you can. You get south of the border and cling to the highest branch you can find, and you survive." What did I say, y'all? What did I say that she probably learned in Canada? Power is how you survive, not friends. Friends die and make you cry anyway. If you want to survive, you have to pretend to be friends with power, because power survives, but power is also evil, so you don't have to feel bad when you treat them however you want. They are NPCs in your survival video game. So her friend naturally says, don't think of them as human beings. Think of them as Americans. As another thing that is not you. This is what war does to people, y'all, and it never changes. And wars are not only fought on battlefields, because this is also what competition does to people. It's easy to go, well yeah, under these extreme circumstances I could see living in that hostile fight-or-flight state, but there are people all around us who see us this way every day. They survive by seeing us as tools or threats, and that's it. I mean, there's a totally normal corporate department called Human Resources. That's weird. Think about it. But this glimpse into Stephanie's backstory is a perfect example of how an explanation is not an excuse. It's good to have that explanation. Her reasons for not trusting people, especially Americans, are valid as fuck. And her methods for surviving are working. She's kind of a ruthless badass. But if you look at her results, other than preserving her precious pulse, she might hit my qualifications for the word stupid. What is the point of surviving a miserable life? It's like all that keeps her going is to spite America. That's it. Just rage and hate. Like, what is her end game here? I said it before and I'll say it again. This road doesn't go anywhere. At least the authentic Vault-Tec shills believe that they're preparing for the future. But Stephanie straight up says to Betty, I can't speak for the future. My girl is not thinking ahead at all. It's all about what does she have to do to cling to that high up branch and survive the next day. No community, no friends, no connection, no growth. Just sticking it to the Americans and proving that you can live another day no matter what the fuck they have to say about it. Forever. Why? File this away, y'all. Making yourself miserable to prolong a life you hate is nonsense. We are all going to die one day anyway. Love each other, ya dunces. We'll have to see if whatever's in the box points to some sort of endgame, because otherwise this is ridiculous. And props to Chet for the strategically timed declaration of backbone.
You have a new spine. Use it.
In the Addicts video, I talked about how people with Steph's survival strategy build power from reputation, public opinion. Chet's cowardice may have gotten him caught up in this mess, but it's Steph's social manipulation that trapped him there. She thought that she had him so under control that she could just announce that they were getting married and be a complete dick to him until the moment of, and that he still wouldn't say or do anything. Another thing about these people that they're portraying really accurately is the more under control you are, the more you play into their hands, you'd think they'd be grateful or nicer to you for doing what they want, but it actually makes them hate you more. The more you fall for it, the more they think you deserve it. It's that sort of Darwinian dog-eat-dog survival of the fittest mentality. If you didn't deserve what was happening to you, then you would stop it. Honestly, there was a little bit of that in the Ghoul in a previous episode, when he says to the NCR, anything that's dead deserved to die. Watch that mentality. But Chet's been watching Steph's game for a while, so he knew that this wedding was an opportunity, and I was so proud of him for that. Like, oh, my little Chet is growing up. up, file this away. If you are up against a masterclass social manipulator like this, and you have an opportunity to whip out undeniable hard evidence in front of a live audience when they don't expect it, that's your shot. She was powerless to do anything monstrous toward him in front of all of those people. She had to be a wilting flower victim. But if you have hard physical evidence against that person, the wilting flower victim thing won't be able to save him. It is very depressing and disappointing, though, that hard evidence had to be the proof that she's not an American. It had to be that they flipped out over the most. Because that's just gonna feed right back into the feedback loop of distrust. Yes, Chet won the day. Yes, he may have knocked her off her throne, but he also reinforced all of her reasoning for being the way she is. She treated everybody like that because she assumed that as Americans they would be hostile toward her as a Canadian, and now she feels like everything she's ever done was all the more righteous. It kind of reminds me of how Al Capone was taken down for tax fraud when he should have been taken down for being a violent criminal. Stephanie should have gone down for being a manipulating, lying, scheming, abusive fuck, not for being Canadian. And y'all, we can sit back and laugh and make fun of this. Blame Canada, right? Those beady eyes and flappy heads. Well, I guess she's just got one beady eye now. And we look at things like the Red Scare, or like that scene with Cooper on the movie set when they find out that writer is a communist. A communist? And it all looks so silly now, but y'all know that you're sending and receiving messages with your friends that be like, have you heard so-and-so is a Trumper? So-and-so just posted this thing, I didn't know they were a libtard. We reduce people to what factions we think they might be a part of all the time. Even when I'm making these videos, I have to stop and think, oh, be careful before you use this word or this term, because once somebody has you pegged as one of those woke people, they're just gonna tune out anything else you could possibly say, because you're on the other team and they don't trust you. We don't collaborate, we don't cooperate, we compete, and it shows, and we're paying the price. Let's talk about Lucy and Hank. This is how Lucy finds what her values are, her own understanding of goodness, beyond Vault-Tec conditioning. She's becoming a different animal altogether. And I strongly encourage all of you to just stop and examine where you fall on the core value debate going on between the two of them. Because in my lifetime, I have met a disturbing amount of people who would be Team Hank here. Now, this is most definitely a spin-off of the age-old freedom versus security debate, but I want to boil this down a little bit differently. Lucy is Team Agency. Hank is Team Peace. Side note, the show Pluribus explores the points I'm talking about here beautifully. A lot of real people in the real world truly believe that what humanity needs more than anything else, at the cost of everything else, is to feel good and have no conflict. That's it. So if you drug them, put them in a coma, brainwash them, erase their memories, relieve them of their point of view, it's all worth it, it's all for the greater good, because the greatest good there can be is peace. But if you're Team Agency, like I am and like it looks like Lucy is, that pursuit sure does beg the question, what is the point of being alive? Most of you are gamers, right? So you're gonna get this. Don't you want the game to be challenging? Isn't it boring when you pump it full of cheat codes? Life is supposed to be a robust array of feelings and experiences. We're supposed to ride waves of tension and release. It's supposed to be an adventure that we explore together. But we live in this culture that subjects us to this continuous, relentless, unceasing anxiety drip. Just tension, no release. And it's miserable. Not because pain is present, but because it is pointless. If all you want is eternal peace, no challenges, no adventure, no growth, no earned joy, then I got good news for you. You're gonna die, and you'll have all the peace you want. So Lucy looks around and goes, well, I guess this is one way to save the world. And then Hank bewilderingly says, perfect is the enemy of good. The guy who wants to cleanse the entire world of everyone who doesn't think like him thinks he's not the one with problematic perfectionism issues. There are plenty of enemies of good in this room, and I don't think perfection is one of them. Here's the wildly stupid thing about Hank's mission objective. Does he really honestly believe that if his team, whether Vault-Tec or Enclave or whatever, successfully wipes out all the other factions, that there will be no more factions? I mean, really? Y'all will eventually break up into factions. Obviously, you dumb fuck. I mean, what is he gonna slap Robbie's mind blowers on everyone's neck on the planet, everyone who remains? What do you think the likelihood is that Hank would put one of those things on his own? Probably near zero. So who gets spared? How's that decision gonna be made? No one's gonna have a single fight when that's getting hashed out? What the fuck, Hank? And I'm surprised that Lucy didn't whip out perfect is the enemy of good when she heard Hank's position on the NCR. And this leads us into yet another example where I feel bad for the wokeophobes and the right-wingers who never gave this show a chance to show that it agrees agrees with them on a lot of things. There's an American conservative perspective present in this conversation. But before I explore that, it's constantly coming to my attention that I can't say anything about a progressive point of view or a conservative point of view. Like, a lot of the audience isn't even going to be able to mentally process what I'm saying until they are properly primed, until they are lubed up with whether or not I'm about to blast that point of view or endorse it. And that is making me nuts. Because always and neither. I gotta go on a rant for a second. We live in a culture that is obsessed with picking sides when we shouldn't, and running away and hiding like cowards when we should. We love taking sides when there are no stakes, but when there are, we will straddle that fence until it cuts us in half. But let me tell you something. The only way to responsibly choose what side of the fence to fall on is to understand both sides of that fence as much as you possibly can. The reason Fallout is my favorite franchise of all time, the reason why the best friends I've ever made are Fallout fans, is because Fallout is all about seeing everyone's point of view and making your own decisions, and accepting the fallout of those decisions. Fallout doesn't tell you what to think, it asks you what you think, and the TV show is no exception. If you think understanding the opposition is endorsing it, then maybe you're just afraid to find out you're wrong. I mean, if you're not, you have nothing to lose, right? Your new understanding will just strengthen your arguments. Or, and this is what's happening most of the time in our day-to-day lives, we'll discover that there's no reason for the fence to be there at all. We're so afraid to peek over the other side that we never see that it's full of allies. Like, if a loved one comes to you and says, hey, you hurt me when you did this. If your response to that is, well, what about when you did that? You're framing that loved one as an adversary instead of a partner. Are y'all working together toward a healthy relationship, or are you competing for dominance? Like, what if you were building IKEA furniture together and you were like, hey, we put the wrong screws in this Malm bed frame, and they were like, well, you put wrong things wrong places all the time. It's like, okay, how does that help us build this thing? If you always see accountability as losing some sort of competition, you will be lonely. You only need to take a side if there are actual stakes, if a decision has to be made. Like when Lucy had that one stim pack, she had to choose the Legion woman or the ghoul. And if you zoom out to the show's entire overarching plot, pretty much everybody's had to grapple with the decision of what to do with this cold fusion diode. But they're trying to protect human lives, not their own egos. Y'all, we gotta make our choices based on how the most probable outcomes strike our values. And that's impossible to do without understanding the big picture. And if you don't have the capacity to process all that data, I don't blame you. But it helps absolutely nothing if you reduce those who do to endorsing the bad guy's side. Funky Death Claw reminding you to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe! So let's clarify this once and for all. Whenever I say that the Fallout TV show is capturing the essence of a conservative talking point, I am not saying that the show producers have a covert conservative agenda, nor am I endorsing a conservative agenda. I'm saying that the show is doing a great job of laying out a fictional context that makes coming to a particular conservative point of view make sense. And the exchange between Hank and Lucy about the NCR does this really well. Hank says the new California Republic is just like the Legion. Okay, go on. They all have their problems, Lucy. High taxes, expansionist tendencies, unpopular foreign policy. Basically all the same shit that people say about the NCR in Reddit threads. And Lucy, now that she's becoming her own person, is going, no, one side is murdering people and enslaving them and crucifying them, and the other side is just vaguely problematic. And y'all, I'm telling you, a lot of conservatives who are watching the show are loving this. From their perspective, she's stepping out of being progressive and stepping into being more conservative, okay? This is why. We progressives do have a tendency to be so damn open-minded that our brains fall out. We can be so pie in the sky with moral absolutism that our feet are very far from the ground. There's goodness and there is badness, and there is no discernment in different levels of badness. We will socially ostracize someone for using a word that's only been considered a slur for like 2 years, but if someone has a religion and their beliefs say that a certain kind of human being should be considered a lesser species, then we're supposed to respect other cultures. Progressive movements stagnate because of constant bickering over minutia. Our ranks are full of contrasting, conflicting interests, so we have meetings about meetings about meetings, while our opposition chips away at our rights bit by bit. We're out here singing I'm Just Ken, while the Barbies swipe our wins out from under our noses. Perfection is the enemy of good. That's why I make such a big deal out of karma hits. And I love the way the ghoul underscores this when he needs Maximus to give him the diode. He's like, I get it. You want to save the world. You want to give it to a good person. But in order to save that good person, you're gonna have to give it to a really bad person. And I'm also wondering if he's thinking the bad person that he should have given it to is Mr. House, but we'll see. Anyway, the point is, there's no morally perfect way out of the mess we're in, y'all. Sorry to say. Let's let's talk about the NCR for a second, because the direction the show is going with them is not really the way that I conceptualized the NCR after playing New Vegas. I'm no lore thumper, but I do care about the lore. What I care about most are the themes of Fallout, so if the TV show is matching those themes, but the lore isn't 100% accurate, I can let it slide. The show isn't necessarily betraying NCR lore. Like I said, Hank's little spiel is very consistent with complaints that fans have about the NCR, but they appear to have totally changed what the NCR represents. The NCR was essentially a rerun of the US military, making similar mistakes. Basically all the stuff that Hank listed. I was always kind of under the impression that if we hand power over to the NCR, we're just gonna repeat history all over again. Like my man House said, if you want to see the fate of democracy, look out the windows. But the show is treating the NCR like the last beacon of hope. I was really feeling Lucy, because when she and the ghoul saw the communist brainwashing vault, he was like, more matching jackets. And when she met the NCR, she told him, all I see are more matching jackets. But Maximus's face when he sees that NCR power armor, oh my heart. And that hero strut through Freeside, I mean, it was cheesy, but honestly one of the reasons I love Fallout so much is because it's not subtle. It was sappy and it was cute, and there was the kid looking up at him. It just really made me want to believe. However, if any lore folks out there can explain to me how this power armor could possibly exist, I don't understand and I want to know. And we need those blade gauntlets in 76, because I'm sick of how when you have power armor you can't use like a zillion melee weapons, and those things would be handy. And I loved this trio. I love Thaddeus and Maximus and the ghoul together. They put a huge smile on my face. And I guess if we're looking at it like the bombing of Shady Sands knocked the NCR down a peg, and now there's an opportunity to build something new, to do things differently, then I guess I don't have a problem with framing the NCR as a place for these people to rest their hope, because they desperately need it. And it feels like such a natural destination for Maximus's character. So we shall see. Oh god, we gotta talk about the congresswoman. Diane Welch. I fear I may have been hoodwinked by this one. I'm sorta down for it. Didn't see it coming. We'll get to the twist reveal, but first let's talk about this conversation she has with Coop. He says, I want to believe in people like you, that fight for all the right things, but you don't make it easy. Why can't good people like you learn to sell it better? Spoken like a good little capitalist. Because goodness can't be sold, Cooper. Love is the only natural resource that the more you give, the more you have. And the engine of commerce is scarcity. People who are good at selling you on something are good at convincing you that they have what you lack. Love and goodness is virtually invisible to people who are afraid. I mean, look at Steph. Honestly, there's a lot of layers to this, so if you want to hear my full thoughts about this, ask me about it on the stream, because I think I could take too much time in this particular video. But for now, I'll just say this. Good people, coming from a place of love, are authentic, which always comes with one of two problems. One, authenticity is vulnerable. People don't want to bank on vulnerability because they don't want to get hurt. And two, there is no guarantee that your authenticity will be received as authenticity, if that's not the language that the audience understands. For example, I think I'm awesome. So if I'm being authentic, I'm not gonna hide how awesome I think I am. My perception of my own awesomeness is not a threat to anyone. I don't even think I'm more awesome than other people. I think that most people underestimate their own awesomeness, but because I think I'm awesome, the assumption is always that I think I'm better than other people, and that I will push them down to uphold my own awesomeness. But of course I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be awesome if I did that. The point is, if you're selling yourself to other people, you have to frame yourself according to their definition of what goodness is, not your own, which means you can't be authentic, which means you're manipulative and not that good. People think they want the truth, but what they really want is their idea of the truth affirmed, and those are the people that get elected. I hate that Quintus said it best. Power is not given, it's taken. Norm got all those Vault 31 kids to follow him just because he got up and announced, I'm the boss. I hope it's clear to everybody by now that the Buds Buds program was not a leadership program. Real world spoiler alert, leaders don't want to teach other people to be real leaders, because then they'd have competition. Okay, the only time that was ever true is like in the olden days when people had apprentices who they trained to take over their jobs when they died. Now everybody lives too long and changes jobs too fast. At the end of season 1, Bud was like, people who smile, people who make lemonade. Does that sound like a leader to you? Look at how helpless these kids are. They need the Vault Tech handbook to tell them what to do. If, you know, that's protocol. Remember what I said about people like Stephanie? The more pliable you are to their orders, the less they respect you. If you want to outpower the powerful, you can't limit yourself to the tools that only they provide you. And going back to this idea of selling, you have to convince people that you have what they need. If they have what you need, you've already lost. But if you have what they need, and not something that can just be replaced with another 31 shill or another squire fallen from the sky, they need it, you're the only one who's got it, and that brings us back to the congresswoman. What does she have that Coop needs, and she's the only one who has it? Goodness. Or at least a very very impressive disguise of goodness. Now, anybody who knows Fallout lore knew when Diane said the president, that's the fucking Enclave. What I'll admit we don't know for certain is, was she coerced or victimized by the Enclave, or was she in on it from the beginning? And as much as I hate the idea that I was duped, I think she was in on it from the beginning because the play was too perfect. When he says, why don't you sell it better? She's like, well, how's it working for you? It sort of suggests it's his job to look good, but he doesn't actually have to be good. His wife works for Vault-Tec, and he's the poster boy for the end of the world. Looking good and doing good, more often than not, as previously discussed, are conflicting agendas, and that makes him feel kind of guilty. And that's an in for a manipulator. And ha ha ha! Barb knocks it out of the park with another legendary Fallout line. I should really do a video compilation of the best lines. She says the only way to save our family is to save the world. I'm gonna say it again. The only way to save our family is to save the world. This is the perfect progression of the stuff I've been saying about the way these characters relate to their kids. Remember when Hank said to Lucy, you are my world, and I was like, no, she's your daughter, your world is your world. It doesn't make any sense to destroy the world for your kids, because they have to live on it. This also totally backs up what I've been saying about Barb. She's not evil, she just wants her kid not to die, and if there's another way to get the job done that doesn't make her fucking hate herself, she was gonna go for it, because she still feels. Granted, we all know that this is gonna go sideways, but she tried, and for the right reasons. When Coop hands the diode to the president, I was like, oh no, that president, there's no way he's a good guy. Not that actor. With that haircut, clean shaven, villain, for sure. This is the moment that Coop was like Lucy. Stupid. He figured out that the system he was obeying was a farce, but still trusts the president? Why? This is the same mistake as Lucy still thinking that she's gonna take Hank to vault justice. It's turtles all the way down, guys. Evil, mischievous, scheming little turtles. And now they're giant irradiated turtles. I don't know how far I can go with this metaphor. Let's just pivot right over to the big reveal that the Robbie's Mind Blowers mainframe is run by the severed head of Diane Welch, and it is as of yet unclear if she was victimized into this role or if she chose it. It might be easy to assume, oh, well, she was obviously a victim who would choose that, but that's a weird thing about Fallout. There's a weird amount of characters who choose to be disembodied heads. I mean, look at Bud as an example, but he's far from the only one. I've always felt like this was a metaphor for people who are willing to give up their humanity for longevity or power, because we know that they lose something when they transition into this state. That's why House wasn't just a severed head in New Vegas. And I'm dying to understand why somebody's head is necessary to make Robbie's Mind Blowers work. So I don't exactly know what's going on here, but I love that I don't know. I'm very curious, and I love that I didn't see this coming. And the point is, was there a point to this video?
Is there a point to all this? Let's find a point.
The point is that there are a lot of points. There are a lot of sides. And I think in a way, Fallout is siding with all of them, and none of them. But it's not neutral either. It's showing us how everybody plays their teeny tiny part in collective destruction. And if you're only focused on your part, if you don't take a peek at the other side of the fence, you don't have enough pieces to do the puzzle. You don't have to understand everybody in the world. You couldn't pull that off even if you tried, but that doesn't mean that everybody doesn't need to be understood. So if you see somebody on your side of the fence making an effort to understand the other side, don't reject them for endorsing that side. You have a spy. Get the intel. Because without an understanding of what the fuck is going on, we're just never gonna get anything done. Community section begins now. I will be streaming again on Saturday. Of course, it's the best part of my week. If you've never been, don't be shy. I want to see ya. If you want to get a sense of what it's like in advance, you can check out the VODs, see if it's your vibe. I tend to go deeper about topics I discussed in the most recent video. I periodically beg you for money, and we tend to spend a lot of time unpacking theories and predictions and lore connections. It's a lot of nerdy navel-gazing at its finest. And I love answering questions. Come with questions. You gotta come if you want to be one of the feral cools. Yes, there's an official nickname for the Lindsay's Fallout Inner Circle now. I don't remember who came up with it. Whoever it was, take credit. I love it because first of all, I love me a pun, but I also just really love the use of the word feral because it suggests uncivilized, out of control. But we're feral cools, so we don't need to be civilized to be cool. You know what I mean? Alright, stay cool, ferals. I'll see you on Saturday.
If you have to go out, take a gun in the lamp, 'cause everybody knows there's a devil in camp. Ow!